Inner Light. Esoteric Wisdom for the Soul's Ascent is a contemplative sanctuary devoted to unveiling the hidden teachings that have guided mystics, seekers, and sages through the ages. Within this space, we illuminate the mysteries that have shaped the spiritual ascent of countless souls, drawing upon the world's most profound esoteric traditions. This edition presents the dark side of Kabbalah, magic, golems, and the secrets of Western occultism. Journey with us as we delve into the enigmatic world of Kabbalah, a tradition shrouded in secrecy, myth, and wonder. Discover the origins of its mystical teachings, the legends of the Golem, and the powerful symbols that have woven their way through both religious devotion and the darker currents of Western occultism. From the ancient tunnels beneath Jerusalem to the esoteric societies of modern Europe, we explore how Kabbalah's magical practices, secret codes, and forbidden knowledge have both inspired and haunted generations of seekers. Few mystical traditions have exerted as much fascination and controversy in the Western world as Kabbalah. Its evocative symbolism, cryptic doctrines, and promise of secret knowledge have drawn scholars, mystics, and occultists for centuries. Yet for all its allure, Kabbalah is also shrouded in misconceptions, half-truths, and legends, some of which have been deliberately constructed to obscure its origins and purpose. This video will explore the evolution of Kabbalah from its roots in medieval Judaism, through its transformation at the hands of Christian knights, rabbis, and later occultists. It will trace how Kabbalah's symbols and rituals became entwined with tales of magic, golems, and forbidden secrets, and how these elements were absorbed into the wider current of Western esotericism. By examining both the historical record and the enduring legends, we aim to reveal the complex reality behind the mystical tradition often dismissed as either superstition or sorcery. The summer of 1099 marked a turning point in the history of Jerusalem. The city, after centuries under Muslim rule, was besieged and captured by the armies of the First Crusade. The Crusaders, driven by both religious fervor and the lure of the Holy Land's riches, unleashed a campaign of violence unparalleled in the city's history. Within 3 days, tens of thousands of Muslim and Jewish inhabitants were slaughtered, their holy sites defiled and destroyed. The conquest was not merely a military victory, it was the birth of a new Christian kingdom in the heart of the Levant, the Latin Kingdom of Jerusalem. This event triggered waves of Christian pilgrimage as believers from across Europe sought to walk in the footsteps of Christ and touch the stones of the sacred city. But the roads to Jerusalem were fraught with danger. Raiders, bandits, and hostile armies threatened travelers at every turn. In response to these dangers, a small group of French knights, led by Hugues de Payan, approached King Baldwin II of Jerusalem in 1118. They requested permission to establish a religious order dedicated to the protection of pilgrims. Their request was granted, and they were given quarters on the Temple Mount, the holiest site in Judaism and, for Christians, the legendary location of Solomon's Temple. Thus were born the poor fellow soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon, the Knights Templar. This order, initially impoverished, soon grew into one of the most powerful and wealthy organizations in Christendom. The Templars were not only warriors but also bankers, landowners, and political agents. Yet from the earliest days, rumors swirled that their true purpose went beyond the protection of pilgrims. The Temple Mount, with its ancient tunnels and ruins, was a place of legend. According to Jewish tradition, it was the site where King Solomon had built his temple, a structure said to house the Ark of the Covenant and other sacred relics. Medieval Christians believed that Solomon possessed wisdom given by God, including the secrets of angels, demons, and magical arts. It is alleged, although historical evidence is scant, that the Templars, under cover of their religious mission, began excavating beneath the Temple Mount in search of lost treasures, arcane artifacts, and forbidden manuscripts. Some claim they found ancient scrolls containing knowledge that would profoundly influence not only their order, but the currents of Western mysticism for centuries to come. The origins of Kabbalah. From the Hebrew root meaning to receive or tradition received, is not the product of a single author or era. Rather, it is a body of mystical teachings and practices that emerged over centuries within the Jewish world. Kabbalah seeks to uncover the hidden meaning of the Torah, the nature of God, and the secrets of creation. According to tradition, the esoteric knowledge of Kabbalah was first revealed to Moses on Mount Sinai and passed down secretly through generations of sages and mystics. Its doctrines were committed to writing only in the Middle Ages, when the pressures of persecution and exile compelled Jewish thinkers to preserve their wisdom. The earliest known Kabbalistic text is the Sefer Yetzirah, Book of Creation, likely composed between the 3rd and 6th centuries CE. This short but dense work describes how God created the universe through the manipulation of Hebrew letters and numbers. It introduces the idea that the Hebrew alphabet and the 10 Sephirot, divine emanations, are the building blocks of all existence. In the 12th century, the Sefer Bahir, Book of Brightness, began to circulate in Provence, France. This text expanded upon earlier mystical ideas, introducing the notion of the divine feminine, the Shekinah, and the interplay of light and darkness within creation. The Zohar, Book of Splendor, written in 13th century Spain and attributed to the sage Shimon bar Yochai, though likely authored by Moses de Leon, became the central text of Kabbalah. The Zohar is a mystical commentary on the Torah, filled with allegories, symbolic language, and visionary experiences. It presents the Torah as a multi-layered code to be unlocked through meditation, numerology, gematria, and contemplation of the divine names. Kabbalah, and the power of names and letters central to Kabbalah, is the belief that reality itself is shaped by the divine language, the sacred Hebrew alphabet. The names of God, especially the Shem HaMephorash, the explicit name, are thought to hold immense creative and destructive power. By manipulating the letters and their numerical values, the mystic seeks to influence the forces of the cosmos. Kabbalah posits that every aspect of creation, from the highest angel to the smallest stone, is animated by a unique combination of Hebrew letters. By understanding and rearranging these combinations, the mystic can tap into the same powers used by God in the act of creation. The Golem of Prague. One of the most enduring legends associated with Kabbalah is that of the Golem, a being fashioned from inanimate matter and brought to life through mystical practices. The most famous Golem story is set in 16th century Prague. At this time, the Jewish community of Prague lived in a climate of fear, harassed by anti-Semitic mobs and the threat of blood libel accusations. Their spiritual leader, Rabbi Loew ben Bezalel, the Maharal, was renowned as a scholar, philosopher, and Kabbalist. According to legend, Rabbi Loew had a dream in which he was instructed to create a protector for his people. With his disciples, he went to the banks of the Vltava River, shaped a giant figure of clay, and performed rituals combining prayers, Hebrew letters, and the Shem HaMephorash. He inscribed the word Emet, truth, on the golem's forehead and placed a parchment bearing the name of God in its mouth. The golem came to life, a mute servant with superhuman strength. The golem as protector and threat under Rabbi Loew's command. The golem defended the Jewish quarter, carrying out tasks from household chores to confronting would-be attackers. Most famously, it foiled a blood libel plot by exposing the attempt to plant a dead child's body in the Jewish district. However, the legend warns that the power to create life comes with grave responsibility. As the golem's strength grew, it became unpredictable, even dangerous. In some versions, Rabbi Loew forgot to deactivate it on the Sabbath, leading to havoc and destruction. To end the threat, he erased the first letter from Emet, leaving Met, death, and the golem collapsed into dust. Talmudic precedents for the golem. The idea of creating life through mystical means is not unique to later legends. The Talmud itself relates that sages, through study of the Sefer Yetzirah, were able to create animals and even a humanoid being. In one account, the sage Rava created a man and sent him to his colleague Rav Zera, who dismissed the being, recognizing it as an artificial creation and commanding it to return to dust. These stories illustrate the concept of practical Kabbalah, the use of mystical knowledge not just for spiritual insight, but for tangible, magical effects. The Shem HaMephorash and the power of the divine name Kabbalistic literature is suffused with references to the power of names, especially the 72-letter explicit name of God. These names are said to govern the angelic hierarchies and the forces of nature. With the correct pronunciation, intention and ritual preparation, a Kabbalist might command angels, heal the sick, or even alter the fabric of reality. But these powers were not to be used lightly. A single misplaced letter, a moment of impure intention, these could open the door to catastrophe, unleashing forces beyond the mystic's control. The Sefer HaRazim and other magical texts. Among the most notorious of the magical texts is the Sefer HaRazim, Book of Mysteries, a grimoire filled with instructions for summoning angels, spirits, and heavenly powers. Its rituals involve incantations, sacrifices of incense, and the drawing of seals and diagrams under favorable planetary alignments. Other texts, such as the Sefer HaYashar and the Sefer HaKana, describe even more arcane practices, including the creation of magical amulets and the invocation of the Shekinah to perform miracles. The Baal Shem, masters of the name by the Middle Ages, a secretive class of wonder workers known as Baal Shem, masters of the name, emerged, particularly in Eastern Europe. These wandering rabbis and healers claimed the ability to heal, exorcise demons, and protect against evil spirits by wielding the divine names. To the common people, they were saints and protectors. To religious authorities, they were often viewed with suspicion, accused of dabbling in forbidden arts. The perils of practical Kabbalah. The dangers of practical Kabbalah are illustrated in the legend of Joseph de la Reina, a 15th century mystic who sought to bring about the Messianic age by summoning and binding Satan himself. According to the tale, his ritual backfired. Unable to control the infernal forces he invoked, Joseph was driven mad and lost to the other side. Kabbalistic texts speak openly of the risks. One who attempts to manipulate the divine names for personal gain or without proper purity may fall prey to the Sitra, Achra, the other side, a realm of chaos and evil that mirrors and opposes the divine order, the tree of life, a map of creation. The heart of Kabbalistic cosmology lies the Etz Chaim, tree of life, a diagram of 10 Sephirot arranged in 3 columns. Each Sephira represents a divine attribute or emanation, through which the infinite light of God is channeled into the world. The journey up the tree symbolizes the soul's ascent toward union with the divine. The tree of life is not merely a philosophical model, it is also a practical tool. Kabbalists use meditation on the Sephirot, combined with chanting of divine names and visualization of sacred geometries, to attain higher states of consciousness, mystical visions, and even supernatural abilities. The Qliphoth, the tree of death, but the tree of life has a shadow. For every Sephira, there is a corresponding Qlipha, plural Qliphoth, an empty shell or husk embodying the forces of chaos, impurity, and evil. The Qliphoth are the residue left from the primordial shattering of the vessels during creation, a Kabbalistic myth explaining the existence of evil in the world. The Zohar and later texts warn that those who attempt to climb the tree of life risk falling into the Qliphoth, losing themselves in delusion or madness. The Qliphoth have become a central symbol in modern occultism, representing the dangers of seeking forbidden knowledge. The influence of Kabbalah on Western esotericism from the Renaissance onward, Kabbalistic ideas and symbols began to filter into Christian mysticism and the broader current of Western occultism. Thinkers such as Giovanni Pico della Mirandola and Cornelius Agrippa sought to reconcile Kabbalah with Christian doctrine, developing what is known as Christian Kabbalah. The Tree of Life became a central motif in the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, the Ordo Templi Orientis, and other magical societies. The Sefer were mapped onto the tarot, the planets, and the human body, while the Qliphoth provided a framework for the exploration of the shadow side of the psyche. Aleister Crowley, the wickedest man in the world. No figure better exemplifies the modern fascination with Kabbalah and the occult than Aleister Crowley. Born in England in 1875, Crowley immersed himself in the study of magic, mysticism, and esoteric traditions from both East and West. He joined the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, where Kabbalistic rituals formed the core of magical practice. For Crowley, Kabbalah was not merely a system of abstract symbols, but a practical technology for breaking the boundaries of reality. He developed his own blend of Kabbalistic, Hermetic, and Eastern practices, centered on the pursuit of true will and the attainment of mystical union. The Cairo Revelation and Thelema in 1904. While staying in Cairo, Crowley and his wife Rose performed a series of rituals drawn from both Kabbalah and ancient Egyptian magic. Rose, in a trance, claimed to receive messages from Horus, the Egyptian god of war. Crowley later wrote that an entity named Aiwas dictated to him the Book of the Law, the foundational text of his new religion. Thelema Crowley interpreted the book using gematria, Kabbalistic numerology, finding hidden codes and references to the Tree of Life and angelic hierarchies. He believed that by combining Kabbalistic invocations with sexual magic, he could open gateways to higher or lower realms of consciousness. Experiments and dangers, Crowley's career was marked by both innovation and infamy. At his Abbey of Thelema in Sicily, he conducted experiments in ritual magic, intoxication, and the invocation of spirits. Some of his followers reported terrifying visions, while others suffered mental or physical collapse. Crowley himself admitted that some rituals spiraled out of control, unleashing forces neither he nor his disciples could contain. For Crowley and his followers, the Qliphoth were not just theoretical entities, but living powers to be confronted, mastered, or evaded. The pursuit of forbidden knowledge, he warned, could end in madness, possession, or spiritual destruction. The Zohar and the fourfold path of interpretation Kabbalistic tradition teaches that the Torah must be read on 4 levels, known by the acronym Pardes Peshat, the plain or literal meaning, Remez, the hinted or allegorical meaning Dirash, the homiletical or interpretive meaning, Sod, the secret or mystical meaning, the Zohar weaves. Together all 4 levels, presenting the Torah as a labyrinth of symbols, numbers, and letters, each concealing deeper mysteries. The path to true wisdom requires careful study, meditation, and a willingness to risk the dangers of the orchard. Physiognomy and the reading of souls. According to the Zohar, every person carries spiritual imprints upon their body, the lines of the forehead, the features of the face, the markings on the hands. Those who master this wisdom can discern a person's essence, destiny, and spiritual state without a word being spoken. Kabbalistic physiognomy became a tool for rabbis and mystics to resolve disputes, predict the future, and guide their communities. But it also contributed to the aura of secrecy and suspicion that surrounded Kabbalah, fueling accusations of sorcery from both within and outside the Jewish world. Magic, symbols, and the forbidden at its core. Kabbalah is a system of symbols and practices aimed at unlocking the hidden structure of reality. Its tools include sacred geometry, numerology, and a complex array of diagrams and sigils, circles, stars, cubes, and the enigmatic tree of life itself. These symbols are not merely decorative. They are believed to be mechanisms, gateways for channeling forces beyond the visible world. In this respect, Kabbalah shares much with the grimoires of Islamic and Christian magic, such as Shams al-Ma'arif or the Key of Solomon, which use similar diagrams and invocations to contact spirits and command hidden powers. The Sitra, Achra, the other side. Perhaps the most chilling aspect of Kabbalah is its open acknowledgement of the other side, the Sitra, Achra. This is not a realm of divine light, but of darkness, chaos, and inversion. For every holy force, there is a corresponding force of evil. For every Sefer, a Qliphoth. The Zohar warns that to gaze into the husks, Qliphoth, is to risk being consumed by them. Many tales are told of mystics who, seeking secret knowledge, fell into madness or spiritual ruin. Kabbalah and celebrity culture in recent decades. Kabbalah has become fashionable among celebrities and spiritual seekers, often divorced from its Jewish roots. The Kabbalah Center in Los Angeles, for example, offers watered-down versions of Kabbalistic teachings promising prosperity and happiness through meditation on Hebrew letters and red string bracelets. This popularization has led to criticism from both traditional Jewish authorities and academic scholars, who point out that Kabbalah was never intended as a universal panacea, but as a demanding, sometimes dangerous, path reserved for the learned and spiritually mature. Conclusion: Kabbalah stands at the crossroads of religion, philosophy, and magic. Its history is a tapestry of legend and fact, secrecy and revelation, light and darkness. From the tunnels beneath Jerusalem to the ghettos of Prague, from the study halls of Saft to the salons of Victorian London, Kabbalah has inspired saints, sages, and scoundrels alike. For some, it is the highest expression of spiritual wisdom. For others, a dangerous flirtation with the forbidden. Its symbols and rituals, once the closely guarded secrets of a handful of mystics, now circulate freely in the global marketplace of ideas. Yet the essence of Kabbalah remains elusive, a tradition that promises enlightenment but warns that the path is fraught with peril. To approach its mysteries is to enter a labyrinth where every insight is shadowed by the risk of losing oneself to the other side. As with all true mysteries, the journey is as important as the destination. Whether one seeks magic, meaning, or merely the thrill of the unknown, Kabbalah endures as a testament to humanity's eternal quest for knowledge and the costs that quest may entail. If you enjoyed this reflection, follow Inner Light, esoteric wisdom for more journeys into the hidden side of knowledge.